Welcome back to the Hyundai Studio. Time for STO's Social Spotlight. It is Whatever Wednesday, but a lot of talk today, obviously, about Musburger's comments during the national championship game, as well as Rob Parker and his contract with ESPN. So we threw both of those out there for everyone to kind of also give their opinion, just like all the colors.
Good, I'm glad you did.
And then we'll have Whatever Wednesday questions for you.
Okay, good.
Okay, so first we'll start with not renewing Rob Parker's contract and that whole ordeal. So here are some of the comments on your screen right there. Wanda Baker says that whole First Take show should not be renewed. I saw the show where he said, blackness, Stephen A. Smith brings up race every day. David Walker says they needed to fire Rob Parker for his comments. In the politically correct world we live in, there were no room for his comments. Frank Foster lastly says Rob Parker is an idiot. He represents the bad stereotype of black people. According to this guy, if a black man dates white women and is a Republican, then he's not black. In quotations, this shows how awful our society is today, a society where our race defines who we are. Glad that they did not renew that contract.
All those well written.
Yes. Next, moving on to Brent Musburger and his not so kept to himself comments on how pretty McCarron's girlfriend was in the stand. So let's see what you guys had to think about that as well. We start with Zach Robinson. He says Musburger's comments were the best part of the game. You know, a little blowout game there, so something to, you know, take their mind off the bag. He's a Notre Dame fan.
Actually, in a way, he's absolutely right. The game was over so fast.
Yes, agreed. Kenny Crawley Jr. says, I like Brent Musburger, however, his comments were way out of line, and he should have been more careful. Don't know if way out of... Oh, what?
You're ahead of yourself, aren't you?
Oh, they might have typed him up wrong.
Okay.
Kenny Crawley Jr. did say, I like Brent Musburger, however, his comments were way out of line. He should be more careful. Eric Lambert says, I think Musburger's comments were fine. Besides, Webb came out and said she was fine with those comments.
Right.
So obviously that was a big part of it that they said that. Eric Lambert, and this next one, Brendan actually said this, but the Musburger's comments were nothing but complimentary. He was speaking the truth. Quarterbacks do get a lot of good-looking women. It's been a tradition going back to high school with the head cheerleader dating the quarterback.
Well, you and I both saw, I just made reference to it with the fans, Ash. I know you saw it like I did this morning, that Yahoo piece of famous quarterbacks with either a combination famous and beautiful wives or girlfriends.
Yeah, and a lot of people commented saying, you know, do you think that Jeff Garcia and Tom Brady would have a good-looking girlfriend, wife, if they weren't quarterbacks? I mean, obviously, Tom Brady is a very good-looking man as well.
Did Ricky get married yet?
In July, he will be getting married.
Ashley's first cousin is Ricky Stanzi, as a lot of you may know. He is out of Lake Catholic in Menor. He went to Iowa on a football scholarship. He played for Kurt Ferentz. He was the starting quarterback for the Hawkeyes, had a great career at Iowa, drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs, and he's engaged. And what his fiance is good-looking, can we assume?
Am I allowed to say that without getting in trouble? Yes, I think she is very good-looking. And they dated all through high school, too. So, you know.
Question to you before we proceed. If you were Catherine Webb, you're a beautiful woman. Oh, can I say that?
Thank you. I appreciate it. I like the compliment.
So what would your reaction be?
Of course. Why would I don't see any problem in it at all. I think she would have made it known if she was uncomfortable with it. They said she was at the game. Her phone had died. She had no clue what was even going on. And McCarron's mother was sitting next to her. They both laughed about it. They thought it was humorous and it was funny. Webb said, you know, all I want to do is date your son, kind of joking back and forth with the mother about it. She said today on Twitter that she felt very blessed. Her Twitter following went like
berserk,
crazy. Yeah. So now she has more followers than her boyfriend, who probably isn't too happy about that. But she also said he wasn't offended by it and didn't feel bad, except for when Donald Dockett tweeted at her with his phone number and asked her to go out. So McCarron did respond back to him and said, better keep dreaming like the rest of these dudes.
See,
made fun of the situation.
And as I've been saying the entire show, he's 73 years old, and I wouldn't have said, if I was doing the play-by-play, I wouldn't have said what he said, and the only reason is because I would realize, I realize what the repercussions might be.
Right.
You have to think before you speak, but he's just so down-to-earth folksy in his play-by-play style, and because he's so old, I'm assuming that he just didn't think anything of it.
And being a Miss Alabama, she is used to being in the limelight of that's what she's doing. She's in a beauty contest, let's say,
right?
Or, so. Right. If she's okay with it, I don't know why anyone else would have a problem with it, let's say. And it's a compliment. He didn't say, I don't think anything.
Feminist left had a big-time problem with it.
Like I said, if she was okay with it, it is. I think it is what it is, and everyone else should say okay. But this was one funny comment I'm going to mention. Jeff Steele commented today and says, I think Brent's comments weren't out of line. Heck, I would have commented on McCarron's hot mom also. So he's taking it to the, hey, whatever. So he's allowed to say it.
That's a little much. Yeah,
he's allowed to say this.
You can say it.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So we would put that out there for everyone. No one gets judged here on All Bets Are Up. So we will move on now to Whatever Wednesday, putting you on the spot. You love it. Love Whatever Wednesdays. First question comes from Ryan Parker and says, what former Cleveland Brown coach would you bring back to coach the team if you could?
Oh, that's a toss-up between Sam and Marty because I was so close to both of them personally. Obviously, historically, you'd have to say Paul Brown, but personally, I was so close with both, and still am to this day with Sam because he lives here, but Marty too.
Judith Farrer is next and wants to know how optimistic you are about the upcoming Indians season after the Swisher deal, what I would assume.
Well, we're not done yet. The rosters aren't completed with all the major league teams, so I'm still hoping there might be a move or two left in the Indian strategy because we certainly need a DH and we need another starting pitcher, in my opinion, no question about it. So we shall see, but it's certainly I'm going to camp a lot more optimistically this year than I did last year. That goes without saying. And if this kid that we just aired this press conference is any indication of what's in store for us with the future, if indeed physically he fulfills this potential, look out, because the way he handled it. Did you see any of him,
Yes,
Ashley?
very calm,
21
cool, and
years
collected,
old.
right? That's why I said to Gene, I'm like, oh my goodness, he looks so young, but just so...
He was just as natural and as comfortable. Right. I couldn't get over it. Just marvelous.
Which is so great.
By the way, I guess I'd be remiss going back to the question about the coaches.
Oh, okay.
Because you'd have to say Belichick because he's won 3 championships, but but traditionally Brown, but personally Marty and Sam.
Tim Uglow, how many free agents now do you think will come to Cleveland after Swisher may help in the pitch to come here for players?
Well, I don't think it's necessarily a precedent because of Swisher, but what the Indians stated by paying Swisher a caliber of player that Swisher's not a superstar. He's an all-star type player, but he's not a superstar. So the statement the Indians made by paying him that kind of money can only help as an example for future free agents that, hey, Swisher went there, they gave him a sweet deal, let me have my agent at least listen to him.
Eric Lambert, wondering if you've ever been to a Lake Erie Monsters game, and also, did you think that the Cavs would be as bad as they are at this point in the season?
As far as the latter portion of your question, I thought they would be a lot better, but I wasn't anticipating injuries to both Kyrie Irving and now Anderson Varejao. So naturally, I thought the record would be better. And as a team, I thought we would show improvement because I have so much faith in Scott. I don't think there's anybody better you could get right now with this young team. It's just a shame that we still need lottery picks. I went to one Lake Erie Monsters game. It was a promotion that I had to do quite a few years ago, and I had a good time. I love hockey. It's just that there's no substitution for the NHL. The NHL is just so exhilarating and exciting to watch in person.
And, of course, we all have to get these golf questions in for you. always. Greg Krieger says, what is your favorite golf course as well as your dream course? So I guess what, let's say, favorite around that you could always play, or dream course would be somewhere that you would want to really play.
There are so many courses. That is just so brutal. I always do. I have stand pat, public and private that I always say, but there are so many. But I will say, private is Canterbury. I just adore Canterbury.
Yeah.
I've played there probably more than any other private club in all the years that I've been in Cleveland. And please forgive me if you've heard me say this a million times, but for those of you who haven't, every time I go to Canterbury, I want to whip my shoes and socks off and walk around in those fairways in my bare feet. It's that lush. The public course, and I just played it last fall. I hadn't played it in several years. It's the very first golf course I played when I came to Cleveland. I still believe it has withstood the test of time, and they've slowed up the greens. It used to be the greens were lightning fast like a country club, and that's Sleepy Hollow. I just love the layout. It forces you to use every club in your bag. It is a true great challenge of golf. You've got to know where to hit it off the tee so you can approach the greens properly, and you got to know the way those greens break when you hit your approach shots, let alone putting. It's a fabulous public course, and the Metro Parks does a great job.
Keith Moore wants to know what brand of golf balls that you use.
I use, well, the Titleist Pro Vs. I use, but I've always been a top flight guy. Don't ask me why. It's psychological.
Okay.
Off the tee, I like hitting a solid top flight. I have for years. I go. Jimmy Hanlon and Ashley's worked for Jimmy out at the golf show every winter, and I always go to the golf show, and you can get great buys on Pro Vs and top flights or whatever brand of ball you like to play. And go do some shopping. You get some great bargains there, I guarantee you.
Junior Ray would like to know, would you ever work with any other network if the new owners of STO shut down this show and you would have to go somewhere else, let's say?
Would I ever work with any other network?
Would you ever go to another network now?
Well, I wouldn't do First Take on ESPN if that's what you're asking me. No, I guarantee you not. No. I don't even think about, in this business, I've been through, I'm in my 43rd year and soon to be entering my 44th year on the air, because I started so young back in Chicago. But I don't even think of that. I certainly, through this transition, am excited about the future of being part of the Fox team, and it's such a huge, humongous company, and I'm excited about the future with Fox. So I don't even think of that. Radio and TV careers. I will say this though to young broadcasters, Ashley. When I used to teach broadcasting, I'd say, hey, if you expect to be off on Christmas, New Year's, holidays, don't necessarily think that is the case. Because, like police and fire stations, you got to have somebody on. The show must go on. If you're looking for total security in your life as far as a job, a career, you're in the wrong racket.
Right.
But that never fazed me. That never bothered me. I always had enough confidence that, between, jobs, I'd get another one. And I've been, knock on wood, lucky enough to have been blessed.
And you do have a vacation coming up. So Lisa Slusher would like to know, since you are getting ready for your vacation, what is your one favorite thing about going to Mexico?
All that wonderful, wonderful downtime with my beloved Jackie.
Oh, that was so nice.
Jacqueline is so much fun to be with. And so, we, I must make a confession.
Okay.
She's upset at me, though, because I went to the tanning booth. Can you tell a little bit?
You look good, Bruce. You look good.
But I don't like getting under the lights.
Right.
She doesn't do it anymore. She used to. But do you do it?
Not anymore. I did used to, but I don't know. I
only do
natural sun is much better.
Absolutely, but I only do it
not better,
to prep before going down the
then you get burnt. Right.
Exactly.
I mean, sometimes. Yes, I agree with you. So she's mad at you for going, but then you can't get burnt when you're in the sun, and we have no sun around here, for how many months. Mm-hmm. Lastly, with the question, Frank Foster wants to know if you've ever walked out during a movie because it was that bad. And I'm not sure if we asked this or not, but I had a lot of questions like this.
I don't recall ever. walking out of a movie. Even ones that I have despised and hated, I don't recall. I always want to be totally fair and benefit of the doubt, and there's been a lot of them I've hated.
Now we have some predictions from you about the movies who you think will win, and then also who you think should win, right? So we'll start with Best Picture.
I am leaving for vacation tomorrow night, and I'll be getting the Academy Award nominations will be coming out while I'm gone. So you can just about go to the bank that Argo will be nominated for Best Picture, Les Miserables, Lincoln, Zero Dark 30. Don't be surprised. Silver Linings Playbook will definitely get nominated, and perhaps The Master, Life of Pi, Django Unchained, and Beasts of the Southern Wild, which I didn't like, a very depressing movie. I feel this is a race between Argo, Les Miserables, Lincoln, and Zero Dark 30. Those four are the best four movies of the year, although there's one missing that I would put in there, and it's not getting ballyhooed or talked about, and that's Hitchcock with Anthony Hopkins and Helen Mirren.
And you cannot have a Best Picture without a Best Actor and Actress, so let's go with the Best Actor.
Well, I think Bradley Cooper of Silver Linings Playbook, which I was very disappointed in that movie, will get nominated. Daniel Day-Lewis is a shoo-in. I think he's going to be tough to beat for his third Oscar. John Hawkes is also going to get nominated for The Sessions. I think Hugh Jackman definitely deserves it for Les Miserables. And I would put Joaquin Phoenix in there for The Master. I also, instead of Bradley Cooper, would nominate Anthony Hopkins as Hitchcock. Those of you that are old enough to remember Alfred Hitchcock and his television show and the movies that he made, this movie and his part, you were looking at him and you would think this is Alfred Hitchcock. I don't believe that Denzel Washington deserves it, but he could sneak in there with a nomination. But it's an interesting category. Daniel Day-Lewis is in a class by himself, in my opinion.
Bradley Cooper and Hugh Jackman are two of my favorite actors, by the way, but let's move on to Best Actress.
In the Best Actress category, I think you're going to see Jessica Chastain nominated, Marion Cotillard, and Rustin Bone, but she's not anywhere as good as she was for the movie that she won the Oscar a couple of years ago. Jennifer Lawrence is a shoo-in for Silver Linings Playbook, but I don't think she'll win. This Quenvin Wallace of Beasts of Southern Wild will probably get nominated. There's some talk about Naomi Watts from The Impossible. I think Jessica Chastain is the actress to beat in this category. I'll tell you more when I get back from vacation, but Helen Mirren, in my opinion, will really be snubbed if she doesn't get nominated for playing Alfred Hitchcock's wife in Hitchcock.
Also important are the supporting roles, obviously, so Best Supporting Actor is next.
Tough category this year, really tough category. Alan Arkin, shoo-in for the Argo. He was the comedic portion of this very serious, intense movie. Tommy Lee Jones may win his second Oscar. Now, Arkin's already won one. Jones has already won one. I think Christoph Waltz should get nominated. Whether he will or not, I'm not sure, because Leonardo DiCaprio also has a supporting role in this movie, and they may cancel each other out. But Waltz makes Django Unchained, in my opinion. There's a lot of talk about Robert De Niro, but I wasn't impressed. I think Philip Seymour Hoffman will deserve a nod if he gets nominated for supporting actor. He's gotten so many nominations, and of course one already for Capote. He was very good in The Master, but certainly Tommy Lee Jones and Arkin, they're shoo-ins.
And what do you think, Bruce, for Best Supporting Actress?
Best Supporting Actress, I think this is a two-actress field. This is a two-way race between Sally Field for Lincoln and Anne Hathaway for Les Miserables. Helen Hunt will get nominated. I think Amy Adams will also get nominated. And then you've got a toss-up. Judi Dench for the James Bond thriller Skyfall. I think it's between Field and Hathaway. It's a tough call. Hathaway's not in this movie much at all, but she just blew me away.
And lastly, the category, Best Director.
Best Director, there's no question that Steven Spielberg, his magnificent work for Lincoln, this would be his third Oscar if he wins Best Director after winning for Saving Private Ryan and, of course, Schindler's List prior to that. Ben Affleck should get nominated for Argo. Tremendous job. Catherine Bigelow won a couple of years ago for Hurt Locker. She should get nominated for Zero Dark 30. And then we come to the toss-ups. Will it be Tom Hooper for Les Miserables? I'll be heartbroken if this man does not get the nod. He won for King's Speech 2 years ago. Tremendous movie. Ang Lee of Life of Pi, who won for Brokeback Mountains, getting a lot of sentiment, and David O. Russell for Silver Linings Playbook. But I gotta think this is Spielberg all the way. I just hope Hooper gets nominated. At least give him the nomination. They always do something queer in the Best Director category. A movie that may be nominated for Best Picture may not have its director nominated for Best Director, and never does the picture win Best Picture without the director getting nominated for Best Director.
And you can find all of this on our ABAO show page on stohd.com. So you can take a look at that.
And when I come back from vacation, those nominations will be out. We'll see how I've done, and then we'll predict who will win these Oscars.